On behalf of our residents, businesses, and workers who live or work in the Arthur Kill Blueway communities of Perth Amboy, Carteret, Rahway, Linden, Elizabeth, Newark, Jersey City, Bayonne, and Staten Island, we welcome you to City of Water Day 2025. This is the 6th year the Future City Incorporated has presented these informative videos. Today we will be sharing an environmental orientation to our Blueway from the perspective of our residents. We thank the leadership of the Waterfront Alliance and the New York-New Jersey Harbor Estuary program for hosting this important annual event. City of Water Day allows us to learn about and appreciate each other's environment while supporting and advocating for a resilient estuary, our Arthur Kill Blueway. I now have the pleasure of introducing the Mayor of the City of Elizabeth, who is also a Commissioner for the New York-New Jersey Port Authority. J. Christian Bolwage is a national and regional leader for resilient businesses and communities. Mayor Bolwage.
Hello, this is Mayor Chris Bolwage. I'd like to welcome all of you to our City of Water 2025 6th Annual Message. As Mayor of the City of Elizabeth and a member of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, I represent a city that's located on the Federal Marine Highway, home to the 10-mile Arthur Kill, also to the International Howland Hope Port Terminals, as well as the second largest port in the country, Port Elizabeth and Port Neal. We thank the Regional Waterfront Alliance and their partners for implementing this very important annual bi-state harbor estuary event. This year, our video will reference the connection and impact of key locations that our residents have on the waterfront region and the Arthur Kill. The New York, New Jersey Harbor and Arthur Kill have continuously evolved, with organizations in the region demonstrating strength through thoughtful planning for both present and, more importantly, for the future. Climate change's long-term impacts require us to stay informed, work together, and proactively protect not only our families, but the commerce in our region. This theme from this video is Perspective from the Goethals Bridge. It highlights the importance of working together to keep ourselves and our families healthy and safe. It's up to us.
Hello everybody, my name is Donovan Crumpton. I am a graduate from the College of New Jersey, where I earned my degree in communications with an interactive multimedia minor. Over the course of my studies, I developed a strong interest in local history and environmental issues, and particularly in the areas surrounding the Arthur Kill, which really engrossed me. The Arthur Kill Channel is a unique waterway that has shaped the development of trade, industry, and even the environmental landscape of the region. So from its connection to the Goethals Bridge, which bears the name of a key historical figure, to the islands that dot its waters, the area has been central to the growth of our local communities and our economy. So today, I'm excited to speak with Dr. Linda Epps, a longtime resident and expert on the history of the Arthur Kill Channel and the surrounding islands. She'll help us dive deeper into the historical significance of the Arthur Kill and its landmarks, and discuss how the future in our rapidly changing environment can really impact the way that we think about this stuff. So, Dr. Epps, thank you again for joining us today. To start, can you please introduce yourself and provide some historical context on the Arthur Kill Channel?
Okay, so I'm Linda Goethals Epps. I was born and raised in New Jersey, in a section of the city that is further north and west than the Arthur Kill. However, my father, for a good deal of my early childhood, owned a business that was right on the corner of Front Street and South Park Street. And at that time, there was nothing between his business and the Arthur Kill except about maybe a couple of 100 yards of low grassland. So I really grew up on the Arthur Kill because I spent lots of time in my father's business, and it was always an area of that represented pleasure and excitement to me, because my brother and I would often just sit on the banks and watch the boats go by, and of course throw stones into the water, and visit the pier, which was located about 2 blocks away from where my father's business was. At once, there was a 3-story pier that stood on the banks of the Arthur Kill, a recreational facility, and we had many joyful times there. And also, I think you asked for a little walk down memory lane, so I'm giving you that before I get to today. And probably about a quarter of a mile away from my father's business, there was a very active ferry service that took us back and forth to Staten Island. The Goethals Bridge was there, but not in big use during that time. People enjoyed the ferry service. It was a ferry service that you could load your car onto the ferry and go back, and that was the primary way that people traveled from Elizabeth to Staten Island over the Arthur Kill waters. So I often visit the area now, basically ride through, sometimes sit there and just look out at the water. It's been part of the 7 decades of my life. The Arthur Kill, as far as I can remember, was always an important vehicle for commerce. There were very few pleasure boats going in my memory, but there were always commercial vehicles that traveled up and down the Kill, and I feel that it's the same way today, considering my visits and what I see going on. It provided materials for those factories that operated in Newark and Elizabeth and further up into Passaic and Bergen counties. And it's very deep, so there are large vessels that could travel on the Kill. So it was always an important waterway for commerce, factories in particular that operated not only along the Kill, Arthur Kill, but also along the Passaic. And I think probably had some connection to the Hudson River as well.
Interesting. So let's talk about the Goethals Bridge. Who was George Washington Goethals, and why was the bridge named after him? Like, does the bridge connect with the nearby islands, like Shooter's Island and Prall's Island?
Okay, so the bridge doesn't necessarily connect with those islands, but you can easily assess those islands from Staten Island once you cross over the Goethals Bridge. And Mr. George Washington Goethals, a New Yorker by birth and a military man, he did attend West Point for 2 years of his college career, and was an engineer and responsible for, I think, some of the interventions, not necessarily gadgets, but inventions and ideas of how to ship and how to travel on waterway. So it's very appropriate that the bridge would receive his name, since he is from this area. And because I think the bridge and the waterway are so vital to transportation in this area, and that was his area of expertise, providing transportation in the beginning, mostly for trade vehicles or manufacturing vehicles, but he really rose to a very high military status and is from this area and was concerned with locks and levees and bridges, that it be appropriate that it be named after him. So hopefully this work that we're doing will communicate the importance of George Washington Goethals and the bridge and the Kill in the development not only of New Jersey and Staten Island and the borough of Manhattan and all of the other 5 boroughs of Manhattan, but of the importance of trade and commerce in this area. New Jersey, I believe, at one point during the early days of its founding, to at least, I think, post-World War II, the transportation through this area was vital to the entire country because goods were being shipped from Europe. They landed here, and the Goethals and the Arthur Kill and the Passaic provided a place where these boats could land and distribute the goods that went from here to California, that went from here all over the country. This has been a major transportation hub for a long time.
And the Arthur Kill, to our knowledge, has played a significant role in the development and trade industry in the region. Could you elaborate on how it impacted local commerce over the years? And, like, as a follow-up, what has been the environmental impact of the channel and the surrounding islands, both historically and today?
The impact of commerce has affected the wildlife and plant life along the Kill. I do know that I think people still fish there because of the pollution caused by commerce. It's not the best place, but at one point it was a very important food source for the indigenous people who lived and for the colonizers who came. Shellfish especially was there, and the islands and the shorelines of New York and New Jersey were filled with deer and rabbits, and who fed off the fauna that grew along the banks of the Arthur Kill. And again, the bridge and the ferry services that operated were very important in commerce between New York and New Jersey. They fed the canals that operated in both New York and New Jersey to get food and other goods westward to our Midwestern states, because there it was the Kill who fed the Delaware and Raritan Canal and the Morris Canal and the North Canal when that operated to all things westward. Also an important area for slave trading during the 18th and 19th centuries. And that it played a major role, especially in Perth Amboy, the Perth Amboy part of the Kill, and helped the development of western cities, I think, as far as Pittsburgh and beyond. So it's been a key, both the Kill and the bridge, and the have been important to the growth of the country at large. As I said at the beginning, they're not just important to New York and to New Jersey, but to the United States as a country.
Thank you. And finally, to close this off, as someone who's lived in the area for many years, do you have any closing thoughts or reflections to our regional audience regarding the future of this channel, as well as the bridge and the surrounding islands?
Well, I understand the importance of commerce and manufacturing, and I understand how our waterways, even though we've got air traffic and everything else, still play a vital role in that area. One thing that has disappointed me is that we have not kept alive the recreational facilities that were once located along the river, and I think that there's room for both. There's room to keep it. It's a vital area to our industry, and I understand that, and I would not like to see that disappear. But I also still think it's possible to improve the recreational facilities that surround it to provide places for our children and for our adults to go. This is such a crowded area. Our houses are close to area. There are not many open spaces. So I would like to see as much as the open space kept that's there now. I'd like to see it. I would hate to see it close up any more than it already has. And I would like to see opportunity for playgrounds, work playgrounds, and other forms of recreation to take place along our waterways here.
Hello, my name is Isabella Ruiz. I am the Summer Project Manager for Future City Inc. and a former ERIC 2024 Watershed Scholar. Today, I will briefly introduce to you our BlueMaps, a view from the Goethals Bridge section to this video, and share with you what the Arthur Kill BlueMap is, as well as what are some of the key locations and elements that exist along this channel. So what you can see here, it's a map of the Arthur Kill. The Arthur Kill is approximately 10 miles long, and it's considered a federal marine highway due to the amount and variety of maritime activity that happens on it every day. Here, you can see our BlueMap for 2025. Our BlueMap approach is a Future City Inc. initiative to inform our community of the different fishing sites that exist along the Arthur Kill, and to also remind them of the importance of fishing for recreation and not for consumption. As you can see here on the map, we have different sites listed where people can go fishing. Not only that, but we also have different markers for the different bridges that exist along the Arthur Kill. We also have markers for the islands that were already mentioned earlier and that you were given some context on by Dr. Epps. And then we also have different markers for different corporations that exist along the Arthur Kill Blueway, for example, the Bayware Refinery. By showing you this map, I hope to introduce you a little bit to what we will be talking next in our following presentations, which leads us to the next presentation, which will be guided by Christopher DeLeon, who will be interviewing Tracy Parham and Johnny Rosser on marine life.
Hello everyone, my name is Christopher DeLeon, a Rutgers University student, and I study environmental policy, institutions, and behaviors. So before getting started, I would like to talk about the Arthur Kill Blueway as a living shoreline, and it's vital and often overlooked. It connects both ecosystems and communities across state lines. It's more than a boundary, it's a shared natural resource, shaped by both human impact and natural resilience. I'm honored to welcome both Johnny Rosser and Tracy Parham. Can you both start by briefly introducing yourselves?
My name is Johnny Rosser, and I am the Marine Life Project Manager at Future City Incorporated, Regional Marine Life Project. I've been involved with this work for over 20 years. Before we discuss the Arthur Kill Blueway, what is it? The Arthur Kill Blueway is part of an active federal marine highway that connects Staten Island, New York, with Elizabeth, Bayonne, Jersey City, Kearney, Newark, Linden, Carteret, Woodbridge Township, and Perth Amboy. It is a body of water where people enjoy fishing for sport and relaxation, primarily for striped bass or bluefish, at various fishing sites along the Arthur Kill Blueway. One of my main tasks is to take pictures of the various fishing sites along the Arthur Kill Blueway to document fishing activity. We are involved with various community programs such as National Night Out, picnics, festivals, municipal and school programs to educate community residents concerning licenses and regulations about fishing and boating. Community residents who fish, crab, or shellfish in the Newark Bay Port Complex are advised to use the catch and release method and returning their catch to the water.
My name is Tracy Carr, and I work with the Regional Marine Life Project at Future City Incorporated, and I have been involved in the project for over 20 years. My main task is creating the social media that's posted about our project.
So why do you think the work being done here is especially urgent and relevant in today?
The environmental history of this area and its industrial path to storage waste materials, including into the Arthur Kill Blueway, including heavy metals, dioxin, PCBs, mercury, and other cancer-causing chemicals, which may still be in the riverbed sediment. Cities that have combined sewer outlets, CSOs, discharge into the Arthur Kill Blueway. The Blueway is a federal marine highway. Container ships load and unload at the various container ports along the Newark Bay Port Complex. Tugboats push barges through the Arthur Kill Blueway, which include trash and other materials. Oil tankers come on the various petroleum refineries along the Blueway.
What would you like people across New Jersey and New York to understand about the Arthur Kill as a shared waterway, especially its marine life, ecological value, and its role everyday people can play in its protection?
The Arthur Kill Blueway is a federal marine highway and marine life sanctuary shared by both states. The laws, regulations, mores, and customs of one state should align to avoid affecting the residents of the other state. Let us all enjoy this bi-state treasure.
Thank you so much for your time and dedication and helping us see this waterway not as forgotten land, but a vital part of our shared region.
Hello, everyone. It's Donovan Crumpton again, and I'm here with Dan. Dan, can you please introduce yourself to our regional audience, please?
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Loomis. I'm a city engineer for Elizabeth. I've been in this position for about 13 years now, and I handle a lot of the environmental responsibilities for Elizabeth.
Could you please provide us some knowledge on the combined sewers from the several municipalities that flow to the Arctic Hill, such as how they're involved in the sewers that impact the waterway?
So I don't know how much your audience is aware of combined sewers, but combined sewers are an older technology. They were created in the 1800s. At the time, they were a marvel. You were collecting all of your sanitary flows and your stormwaters in one pipe, and for the most part, everything was contained and was able to get that to a treatment plant. So for a long period of time, that was a very good technology because a majority of the water is being treated. But when you go from the 1800s to today, so much of these cities that had these sewers have been developed to the point where there's almost no natural land left. So the amount of runoff generated, the amount of rainfall that enters these systems now is significantly more than what they were designed for. So now they discharge to water bodies rather than make their way to a treatment plant. Not all of the water, just a certain amount once the sewer reaches its capacity. And these were constructed in older urban municipalities, mainly in Northeast New Jersey, Kearney, Hoboken, Weehawken, Newark, Elizabeth, Bayonne. But there were also some down in Central Jersey and Trenton, and down in South Jersey, the Camden area. But when these systems overflow, there are some protections in place. There are these screens and nets that collect materials that end up in your waste stream. But anything smaller than a half an inch is going to find its way out to a river when you have a rainfall event that triggers a combined sewer overflow. And what that does is that introduces a lot of human waste, a lot of industrial waste to the water bodies. But what we focus on with the combined sewers is analyzing the water bodies for pathogens, for fecal coliform and for enterococcus. Those are both things that if they're ingested accidentally, they can make you very ill, digestive issues. So you see a lot of times, I know down the shore in New Jersey, they don't have combined sewers, but when you get heavy rainfalls, like it's been dry for a long period of time, you'll see beach advisories because you have a lot of these bacteria, not necessarily from humans, but animals also create this stuff and they get carried in the stormwater. So it's not only a combined sewer issue, but it's heavily focused on combined sewer because it's basically in the waste, it's in the sewer to begin with. So that makes it something that has a big impact on water quality and the ability to use these water bodies for a period of time after a rainfall event. I can tell you a little bit about, how these municipalities are trying to address this stuff. So your earlier question was which towns contribute to pollution in the Arthur Kill. So up north, you have North Bergen, Jersey City, Kearney, Harrison, Newark, and Bayonne. They all have CSO outfalls on the Hackensack and Passaic rivers. Those rivers flow into Newark Bay, which ultimately flows to the Arthur Kill. So those are the upstream contributors. Then you have Elizabeth and Perth Amboy that have, more direct interface with the Arthur Kill. So a lot of our flow directly impacts the kill.
And what steps are being taken by these municipalities to prevent more pollution from these combined sewers and also to protect the Arthur Kill as a whole?
So each municipality that has a combined sewer has a combined sewer permit from the state of New Jersey. Currently, there are 21 municipalities in the state that have permitted combined sewer outfalls. And the state is enforcing the federal government's it's the EPA's CSO policy, which is the goal of that is to reduce and eventually eliminate combined sewer overflows. So each municipality has been given a permit, and that permit required them to develop a long-term control plan. And what a long-term control plan is a way to mitigate and reduce your combined sewer overflows to a criteria that's acceptable by EPA. So there are three criteria, but the criteria that all of the municipalities that have these permits are following it's called an 85% volume capture on an annual basis. So every year that rains, the goal is to collect 85% of the volume of CSO that would otherwise, be discharged. So that's what every community is doing. Some communities are doing storage projects where they build tanks. We've done some of that in Elizabeth. Some communities are doing sewer separation projects where they're building new sanitary and storm facilities to get these, these waste streams separated from each other so that you don't have a wet weather event trigger an overflow. But a lot of what is being done is increased conveyance and treatment. So what that means is our goal and how we're handling this is we're trying to capture as much of this flow in our sewer systems and convey it downstream to a treatment plant. And that treatment plant is going to treat it for it's going to remove all the particulate matter to EPA standards, and then it's going to sanitize it to EPA standards so that you're getting a much cleaner byproduct coming out. Now, it's not going to be full treatment like you would have in a wastewater treatment plant because the volumes of flow are so much more, but it's compared to what's coming out now, it's a much cleaner waste stream.
Thank you so much. And to end off this conversation, given the ongoing efforts and the role of the community, what is your message to our bi-state audience and about preserving this important waterway?
Well, what I can say is that the Arthur Kill is vital to commerce, but healthy waterways are essential to maintaining biodiversity, supporting aquatic life, and providing habitat. Waterways also help filter out pollutants. When you have oyster beds and things like that, they're very good at removing that material. And they also support healthy ecosystems like wetlands. This waterway in particular is also an opportunity for recreation. You see a lot of boaters in the Arthur Kill. So it really is extremely important that we prevent pollution in the Arthur Kill so that we can have a healthy waterway and a sustainable waterway for everyone.
Thank you so much, Dan. This has been a really great conversation. I hope everybody at home took into account everything that you said, because this knowledge is incredibly important, not just for the sake of the Arthur Kill, but for our climate as a whole. So thank you very much.
As we are closing this segment, I would like to reference a solar panel installation made on the New Jersey side of the Arthur Kill. This supplies more than 50% of the seaport's energy needs.
It also is worth noting that the Arctic Hill side of the Goethals Bridge in the greater Linden, New Jersey area houses the International Bayway Complex, which is very intentional in importing and creating energy for our future. Both the seaport and refineries are very much an important part of our economic and industrial past and future.
Our perspective from the bridge is not the same as our perspective of the bridge. So for a brief time as we cross that span, the Goethals Bridge grants us a bird's eye perspective of a complex system that's otherwise difficult for us to see. You know, in isolation, the bridge is just a slender arc of asphalt. The Arthur Kill is just a 755 wide strip of water. But the rivers that drain into that area, the people that live around it, all contribute to complex systems that make it a really special area. And with so many flows and features and impacts and costs, it's hard to find the right words sometimes to define or describe it all. But we don't need words. We can see it from that bridge. Underneath that bridge lies so much. And that just makes me wonder if maybe our perspective from the bridge can serve as a reminder of the water, the shorelines, the changing landscapes and economic systems that the Goethals Bridge connects. Is the view from 150 feet above the Arthur Kill? That should give us a new perspective on life in our region. Thank you for watching this City of Water video.